Hey. Hey, everybody. This is a Super Bowl 1982 SSRFL Super Bowl match between the Minnesota Vikings and the um, Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, so the stream looks good. We're ready to go. Here's the kickoff. So I posted this on the forum just to see if the forum folks might wind up joining us. The Vikings are coached by Ricochet on the forum, also known as Rick Ramassiere. He's a big Vikings fan, and he's coached them in this league for quite a while the Bengals are coached by Jojo Man, Joey Sigliano. Actually, I think here's a curl on first down and 10, and it's a must run by Tommy Kramer. He was looking for Ahmad Bradshaw and had to scramble out of the way. The Vikings were coached by Ron Dickinson, and then after he died, Rick took them over. That was a couple years. Well, it's only a year ago, like a year and a couple months. So I think he's coached two seasons, the 1990 season and the 1982 season. I'll put a link in the description to our website so you can check out the past champions. Here's 2nd and 2, a screen to Ted Brown. We know what a good receiver he was out of the backfield. Again, we're using the 1982 card set, stock teams. We have overusage rules for the regular season. That kind of keeps the running backs in check, keeps them close to their actual usage. Crossing pattern to Sammy White. He was double teaming Ahmad Rashad, and it drops for an incomplete. So 2nd and 10, out to the 35. This is the opening drive of the game, the 1982 Super Bowl. We'll take a look at these two teams. To get here, Minnesota had to beat the Washington Redskins 24-6, and then the Dallas Cowboys 21-14. Bomb to Sammy White, and it turns into a dump off for 6 yards, and that'll bring up 3rd and 4. And the Bengals took out the Kansas City Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins. So here we are, the actual 1982 Super Bowl. Let's see. I believe that was the Redskins. They always seem to get there in those strike shortened years. Let's take a quick look at the 1982 results, the actual 1982 results. On this 3rd and 4, pitch out right to Ted Brown, guessed right, but nobody's in the zone. Guessed right, run for 5 yards, and another first down for Minnesota. So here we go. Yeah, the Redskins beat the Dolphins that year. So both of those teams were in the playoffs, but they got knocked out by these upstarts. 1st and 10, out to the 46. Screen left to Ted Brown. Linebacker in zone makes the play. Reggie Williams is a 6. One thing I noticed about this 1982 set is there's not a lot of pass blocking, but the team that made the Super Bowl in the NFC probably has the best pass blocking in the set, and that's the Vikings. A lot of 5s and 1 4. Bomb to Sammy White. It's going to be a completion for 31 yards as Joey was looking for Rick to call a run there. Instead, he went deep. Go big or go home. Rick connected for 31 yards. Tommy Kramer to Sammy White. There would not have been a sack chance since it was a white die or black die without a D on it. Black die 4. If you don't know Strat-O-Matic, it's a simulation football game. The best out there, in my opinion. It's an open engine. Off tackle right to Ted Brown. Guessed wrong. Short gain. Nobody's in the zone. And that goes for 11 yards. 1st and 10 down to the Cincinnati Bengals 12-yard line. Pro set, curled to Ahmad Bradshaw, 3 men in the zone, incomplete. Hits a blank on Kramer's card. Guessed wrong, that would have been a touchdown, so good call there by Joey. 3 for 6 so far for Kramer. The Bengals are not showing blitz, but they do have a good pass rush here with Eddie Edwards, who's a 9. And Ross Browner's okay, but their big pass rushing threat is Reggie Williams, 6'6", 12. Sideline right to Terry LeConte. That's only going to pick up a yard, and it'll be 3rd and 9. But Joey doesn't bring a lot of pass rush pressure, which kind of makes it a little bit easier to throw short. You know, if it was me coaching these guys, I'd be showing blitz and dropping the free safety and Reggie on a regular basis. Jim LeClaire's a good pass rusher. Even Bo Harris can do it a little bit. But my guess is he's not going to show a lot of blitz. Oh, he does show blitz here. Oh, Joey's proving me wrong. Let's see if he brings the free safety. Riley's a cornerback 4, and Ray Griffin's a 0. It's a draw up the middle. It's going to pick up only 3 yards. He did bring the free safety, so nice job there by Joey. So he shows he will bring some pass rush, at least from the free safety. 4th and 6. Rick Danmeyer comes out, and the kick is up. Oh, and it's bad. He shanked it. The field goal kickers in the 80s weren't that great. So you got to expect that at times. And that means the Bengals will take over on their own 20. 1st and 10. Ken Anderson is joined by Charles Alexander and Pete Johnson. Pete Johnson gets the carry. Offensive onside tackle +7 or +2. There was a man in the zone, but he's only a 0, and that left tackle is Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz, who made the block. Dan Ross is the tight end, Isaac Curtis, and Chris Collingwood's the receiver. And that's a crossing pattern to Isaac Curtis, and that picks up another first down and 11 yards, and the Bengals are on the move. First and 10. Bengals out to their own 38. 17-yard run, guessed wrong by Charles Alexander. So the halfback doesn't have a lot of yardage in the middle. Kind of pedestrian, but on the edges, he has a couple of decent hits. Pete Johnson, the fullback's in there in a 2 tight end set now, as ML Harris checks in the game. Inside run to Pete. That's going to be a fumble. It looks like the Bengals have bounced on their own fumble, jumped on their own fumble. They do recover it. We play with carded fumbles in the SSRFL, which stands for the Strat Retro. What does my own league stand for? Let's check it out. Strat-O-Matic Stock Retro Football League is the exact term. 2nd and 6. Quick out right to Dan Ross, and it's going to be a pass rush. The Vikings come, the Purple People Eaters. Well, that was their nicknames in the 70s. This is 1982. Mark Mullany gets in there, and he takes advantage of Anthony Munoz. So that's a nice matchup. So you don't have the guys in the 70s that were the Purple People Eaters, but Doug Martin's a 5'12", 6. James White's a 4'8", or 5'8", changed to a 4'8" in this formation. And Mullany's a 5'8". Crossing pattern to Steve Kreider turns into a dump off. Quick out right to Dan Ross. And at 4th and 5 in no man's land, the Bengals will punt, try to pin him inside the 10. It's a 26-yard coffin corner, which means it's only going to travel down to the 22-yard line. An 18-yard punt. If he had known he was going to roll a 12, he wouldn't have coffin cornered it. But that's where the Vikings will take over. So good opening drives for each team as they picked up a couple first downs each. The Vikings ended in a missed field goal, and the Bengals ended just outside field goal range. So let's see what the Vikings do on their second try. They go to a pro set with Tony Galbraith in the backfield. He would go on to fame with the New York Giants. Screen left to Ted Brown. There's nobody there. That's going to be a 13-yard pickup as Joey does exactly what I told him to do, which was bring that free safety. Oh, let me share this broadcast out with the Slack group of our league after this play. 1st and 10. Flare right to Tony Galbraith. There's a 4 there. Only picks up a yard. Be 2nd and 9. And let's share this StreamYard invite out again. Oh, it's a 16-yard stump off after a slant to Joe Sensor. There was no high linebacker, so no pass rush, and that turned into a 16-yard pickup. 1st and 10 at the 48. Kramer 7 and 10 so far. Okay, 1st and 10, 48, screen right to Brown. He's been hitting those flats. That's going to lose 2. It was 1 man in the zone. There's no white die 6 on that play, and that's going to lose 2 yards, 2nd and 12. Now at the Cincinnati 50. They go 3 wide, and Joey responds with a 3-4 base formation, letting the free safety shift over to cover Terry LeCount. And it's going to be a crossing pattern to him. It's going to turn into another dump off. Not enough heat coming from the Bengals offensive line against those good pass blockers of the Vikings. And that one turns into a Sammy White 13-yard pickup. 3:55 to go in the first quarter. Kramer now 9 of 12 for 86 yards. White's got 2 catches for 44 yards. He's going to cut that bomb earlier. Another bomb to Sammy White. This one is incomplete as it hits a blank. There was nobody in the zone on that 3-4. He left 4 men in the short pass zone. And that exposed some weaknesses there. Look at that. Straight long gains on 3, 4, 11, and 12. 50-50 long gain on 2. And defender X or long gain on 8 and 9. So 2nd and 10. What will he do this time? He keeps coming out 3 wide. He keeps going with a 3-4. Fly to Ahmad Bradshaw. 2 guys are coming on the blitz. 2 guys were just plugging the linebacker zone. But it's on the quarterback's card for a must run and a 4-yard pickup. Guess wrong, that would have been 33 yards. Down to the 3, but instead it's 3rd and 6 at the 33. Kramer's really good. Guessed wrong. Lots of hits on the edges. We had a false start penalty there, illegal procedure. So it'll be 3rd and 11 back to the 38. The Vikings go 3 wide, and the Bengals go 3-3-5 this time. Curl to Ahmad Bradshaw. It's a dump off for 9 yards. That'll take it inside field goal range, but we've already talked about the kickers in this era. Let's take a look at Dan Meyer's card. So he might go for it here. Dan Meyer's only 2 through 6, 11, and 12 from this range. So he's going to try to go for it. Pro set against a 3-4. Kramer's good on the flats, good at short. He's good in all zones. So what will he do? Good guess wrong, I should say. That is the cat and mouse game of Strat-O-Matic. Guess right, you have a good chance of stopping it. Guess wrong, and you're in trouble. Not always, though. It's a flare right to Galbraith. Guessed right, and he's going to lose 3 yards. The Bengals hold. Stuffed on 4th down for a 3-yard loss as he tried to throw it to the flat to the fullback, and he tripped up on his own feet, couldn't get his footing, tried to reset and go again, and instead he loses 3 yards. So 1st and 10 Bengals at their own 32. Flat pass left to Pete Johnson. That's going to pick up 5. 2nd and 5. Pete back there in a 2 tight end set. Fly to Chris Collinsworth against a run call. And if you thought Tommy Kramer was good guessed wrong, look at Ken Anderson. He's good guessed right and guessed wrong, but he just did not hit the right number there. As Michael Reeves likes to say, dancing between the raindrops. That just right in between the 6 long gain and the receiver long gain. But this time he does hit. Fly to Chris Collinsworth. The free safety was double teaming Archie Griffin, and that one's going to go all the way down to the 4-yard line. Defender X or long gain, and Willie Teal, who is a 0, got beaten by Chris Collinsworth, takes it down to the 4-yard line. 1st and goal. Run call, slant to Dan Ross, and just like that, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That's a touchdown. And the Bengals take the early lead in the 1982 SSRFL Super Bowl. Jim Breach comes on for the extra point. It's up and good. Let's take a quick look at how these teams did on our next break in the regular season. Hold on. Coach, you go open the door for Toro. It's a 23-yard return. Hold on one second. I got to answer the door. All right, I'm back. It is now 2nd and 9 after a 1-yard run. Guessed wrong by Ted Brown, and he goes back to the 3 wide. And to cover the flats, he stays in a 3-4. Quick into Ted Brown. There's 2 men in the zone. That's going to be incomplete. So that'll set up 3rd and long for the Vikings as the first quarter comes to an end. 3-3-5 showing blitz. What are they going to do? I'm going to shift over. Quick into Ted Brown. That's going to be, nobody's in the zone. That's going to be a 7-yard pickup. It'll be 4th and 2, and we'll see a punt right here. Hey, go ahead. You guys can set up Ryan's computer. I'm using your headphones, okay? Cool. And there's the punt. As our animation slows down as we're unplugged from the charger, but we'll plug it right in right now. And we'll set up over here. 1st and 10. Bengals on the move again. That's a guest right short pass for 13 yards. Down to the 35. Pete Johnson's in the backfield in a 2 tight end set. Quick out left to Rodney Holman. That's going to pick up 6, but there's a flag on the play. And holding, Minnesota accepts. So 1st and 20, back to the 25. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Remember the time when I was watering the plants and you were having a touch day with Mom? And I come back inside too early and you guys are like, that was too early. And I said, I'm not done. Yep. I have to go to the bathroom.
I do, sure do. All right, back. I had to go check in with my middle son who just got back from his friend's house, see how things were going. So here we are, 4th and 12. After that false start, pushed it back a little bit, 37-yard punt, and it'll be a 5-yard return. That's where the Vikings will take over and try to get some points on the board themselves. Okay, we're all set up here. 1st and 10 to 35. Tommy Kramer, pro set. Rick was using that 3 wide a little bit, try to get some flat action going. Off tackle left to Ted Brown. He hits a share gain, guessed wrong. So he goes back to the pro set to run it. When you go 3 wide, you always have the risk of a white die 1, changing it to guessed right run, which Brown is still pretty good. Of course, not as good as guessed wrong. Bomb to Sammy White, guessed right. Incomplete. That would have been a run call. That would have been a long gain, I think. Yeah, that's one of those real interesting numbers that it guessed right, it's incomplete, guessed wrong. Nice long gain there. So 2nd and 10. It goes back to the 3 wide. He can still run Brown there, and he does off tackle right. But the problem is your run blocking gets reduced by 1. That wouldn't have made a difference that play, since the right tackle Tim Irwin's a 0 anyway. So as the old song goes, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. So even if he would have been in a pro set, it would have still been only the lower of the results. That's +3 or +8. We're now at 3rd and 7. He goes 3 wide in a shotgun formation with Ted Brown. Bomb to Terry LeCount. And that's going to be a must run for 4 yards, but there's a flag on the play. Let's see who is it against. Holding against Minnesota, and he accepts it, thinking he might go for it on 4th down, 4th and 3 at that spot on the field. So pushes him back into his own territory, and it'll be 3rd and 17 from Minnesota's 43. Flare right to Brown. Short gain. He's still going to have 4th and 3 at the 43. So will he go for it here? Or will he try to punt and pin the Cincinnati deep? He does punt it. It's a coffin corner punt. But on some coffin corner punts, a return happens, and that happened on that time. Not all coffin corner punts will go out of bounds. I think it's like 1 out of 6. You have a forced return. And that's what happened on that one. 1st and 10 now. Bengals at their own 9-yard line. Pete Johnson in a 2 tight end set. Off tackle left to Johnson. Hits a short gain on his card. So that gives the Bengals a little sigh of relief there as they get it out from their own end zone, or from away from their own end zone. Interesting that it would have been a pass rush chance if it would have been a pass. Pro set now with Alexander in next to Pete Johnson. Off tackle right to Alexander. Guessed wrong, but he doesn't go anywhere. The dreaded 5 and nearly a fumble. If it would have been key, that would have been a fumble, but his fumble chances are minimal. Guessed right and guessed wrong, only on snake eyes. The game engine uses 2d6 to resolve all these. This is a cards and dice-based game. Stays in the pro set. Quick into Pete Johnson. There's nobody there. It's a 6-yard pickup, but there's flag on the play, and it's offsetting penalties. On the D cards, that would have been a 1st down. Instead, we'll have 2nd and 11 all over again. Scott Studwell, Matt Blair, Fred McNeil are the linebackers. Up the middle to Johnson. That's going to pick up 5. That'll bring up 3rd and 6. Archie Griffin is on the team. He's not that great of a runner in this card set, but he can catch a short pass. Good on the flats as well. So 6-4-5 across for the linebackers. 5-6-5 for the D-line. Screen left to Archie Griffin. There's nobody there. It's only going to pick up 5 yards, though, as Archie Griffin was still covered. If he had moved the other linebacker, covering the fullback, that would have been a 10-yard gain and a 1st down. Instead, it'll be 4th and 1 and a punt. 6:40 to go in the half. And the Vikings will start on their own 19. Really good game shaping up here in the 1982 Super Bowl. Quick slant to Joe Sensor, picks up 6. Up the middle to Ted Brown. That's going to pick up 6, guess strong, and that'll be a first down. So 1st and 10, 5 minutes to go. Minnesota would love to drive this down here and score the tying touchdown. Curled Ahmad Rashad, and that's it. It hits a blank, incomplete. Second and 10 now. Off tackle right to Brown. Guessed wrong. That's going to pick up 7 on the defensive cards. 3rd and 3 for the Vikings. Here, I'll help. 15-yard pickup there on 3rd and 3 as it hits the D cards again. Sweep right to Tony Galbraith. That's going to pick up 9 yards, but there's a flag down. And it looks like a personal foul after that. That's going to move it all the way down to the 23-yard line of the Bengals. Yeah. Sure. Off tackle left to Ted Brown. 2nd and 6. $2:59 to go in the half. Curl to Sam McCullum. Short yardage, and that is a 10-yard pickup. Sudden Sam, former Seahawk, takes it down to the 9-yard line. 1st and goal, 2 minutes to go. Pitch out left to Darren Nelson. That's going to be a 4-yard pickup. It'll be 2nd and goal at the 5. He goes with a 2-back, 2 tight end set. Slant to Joe Sensor. Incomplete, but another flag. We're getting a lot of penalties in this drive. And that's going to back him up. Holding on the Vikings. 2nd and goal at the 15 now. He goes 3 wide. This time Joey responds with a 3-3-5. Sweep right to Brown. Guessed right because of the white die 1. That's going to be no yards. 3 yards if it was guessed wrong, so it did not much help either way. He was trying to hit one of those short gains, guessed wrong. Off tackle draw right to Brown. And the field goal is shanked. Rick Danmeyer is having a nightmare game as the Vikings can't get on the board. And the Bengals will take over. 45 seconds to go. Off tackle right to Pete Johnson. Fumble split, but it goes nowhere. Maybe he'll be content just to let the clock run out. Long way to go in just 45 seconds. Second and 10. Up the middle to Johnson. Runs it for 5 yards. So good half. They're exchanging pleasantries. Let me go. My daughter needs me for something, so I'll be right back. Yeah, Wow, they started right away. Okay, here we go. So we had the kickoff and then a 5-yard guess wrong run on first down by Pete Johnson. So the Bengals have the lead. The Vikings have missed 2 field goals. Just can't seem to catch a break. Five-yard flat pass there, and that's going to be a first down. Curl to Chris Collingsworth, and that's going to be an 8-yard loss. It turned into a dump off to Charles Alexander, and his receiving card is less than ideal. So 2nd and 18, curl to Chris Collingsworth. That's going to be an 8-yard pickup, as that turned into a dump off, but for positive yards. So the dump offs having an impact on this game. First a loss of 8, and then a gain of 8. Third and 10. Crossing pattern to Isaac Curtis, and here comes that pass rush. They may not be the purple people eaters, but they're still dropping quarterbacks. This Scott Studwell proves that he's a stud. Well, can argue with that after that 11-yard loss. And that'll give the Vikings the ball back after a 33-yard punt that bounces forward for 3 yards, and it'll be 1st and 10 Vikings at the midfield. They need to find the end zone, not rely on their kicker anymore. Joe Sensor, Ahmad Rashad, Sammy White are the main targets. Ted Brown's great out of the backfield as well. Inside run to Brown. There's 2 guys there. It's going to be linebacker in zone, right? Zone -1 or +4. That's Glenn Cameron. He matches the white die 4. That stuffs that for a loss of a yard. Look at that card with 2 guys in zone. No gain. +1, -1 or +4. So if he gets him with min and zone, that's going to be tough to run the ball. Tough sledding. 2nd and 11. Goes 3 wide against a 3-3-5. Ahmad Rashad and Sammy White are being doubled. It's an off-tackle draw to Ted Brown, and the nose tackle, Wilson Whitley, who's rated at 5, makes the play. Vikings are having a hard time moving the ball on this Bengals defense. 14 runs today for Brown for 69 yards. He's been effective on a few drives, but those ended in missed field goals. Slant to Joe Sensor. That's going to be a dump off for 13 yards. That takes it down to the 37 of the Bengals. Five-yard pickup, guessed right, as he looks for Tony Galbraith out of the backfield. 2nd and 5. Just want to keep moving the ball, moving the chains, matriculating the ball down the field. He's got to find the end zone, though. Second and 5, 9:51 to go in the third quarter. Curl to Ahmad Rashad. Those outside guys are being doubled again. Nice job by Joey, and that's going to be incomplete. That would have been a first down if he had not doubled them. So that shows you the impact of coaching that coaching has in this game. And you can see it for yourself, unlike some other games where you have no idea what happened to make the result come out that way. This one, you have the card that if you roll 10, guessed right, it's a 10-yard pickup. If you roll 10, guessed wrong, it's a 10-yard pickup. If you roll 10, double teamed, it's incomplete. That's what happened on that one. 3rd and 5 now. Joey's showing some real strong improvement as a coach. Button hook to Ted Brown, that picks up 7. And then you have to look at that. You have to look at the card. Now, if I would have doubled, that would have been incomplete. I could have stopped the play if I would have double teamed Ted Brown out of the backfield. Kramer's still having a good day, 18 of 26 for 154. That's great. You'd expect some points on the board with those kind of statistics, but not yet. 3-4 showing blitz against the pro set. It's a run call. He switches it up, and it's a bomb to Sammy White, and that's going to be a sniper scope touchdown. So there's the points. There's the cat and mouse game. He showed blitz, then he switched it to a run call, hoping to catch the Vikings running a draw or something. That would have been a fumble split too on a 6 on the D card. But instead, he goes up top, gets the sniper scope, automatic long gain, and that's a touchdown. 26 yards, Kramer to White. Penalty on the extra point, so they'll have to try it from 7 yards back. Dan Meyer, don't miss this extra point. Oh, man, he missed it on an 8 and 9, but instead the roll is a 7. That's good. It's 7-7 in the Super Bowl. I would imagine the Vikings probably leading in all the statistical categories. There's a return out to the 39, but there's a penalty down. Could be coming back. Offsides against Minnesota, he'll going to have to decline that, I would imagine, and he'll keep it right there. Let's look at the box score real quick. The Vikings have twice as much yardage and first downs, but the game's tied. So if the Bengals can put together a drive of their own here, all that bending, don't breaking won't have mattered. Crossing pattern to Isaac Curtis is going to turn into a 9-yard dump to Charles Alexander. Mark Mullaney tried to pressure Anthony Munoz. He had a 72% chance of a sack, but the random roll was an 80, so lucky break there for Joey. Curl to Chris Hollingsworth on the D card on a 2, and that's incomplete. Only plus 16 if the split roll is a 2 or a 12. That's what that indicates. 3 would have been a straight 14. 4 is a straight 12. So it's 3rd and 1, near midfield. Off tackle right to Charles Alexander. He's going to lose 2 yards as he stuffed the zone. It's going to force a punt. So these guys are making good calls on both sides. 42-yard punt. And it's going to roll down to the 13-yard line. That's where Minnesota will take over. So low-scoring game, lots of defense, but it's still been a pretty exciting game. Just checking on the broadcasts. 1st and 10, it's going to be a 1-yard pickup, but another flag, it's another hold. This is going to back the Vikings up halfway to their goal line. It'll be 1st and 16. Ricky Young's in the backfield. Inside draw to Young's going to move that guy out of the way, but it still goes Gestrong on the halfback card for 3 yards. That was his first carry of the game, 2nd and 13. Another draw, another short pickup off the halfback cards. He's trying to hit some big number on the D card, but it's not happening. 3rd and 11. Maybe he's just trying to avoid the sack. Tied game in the Super Bowl, 5:16 to go in the 3rd quarter. Crossing pattern to White. And there he goes. There's that pass rush. Down goes Kramer, and he's going to have to punt from his own goal line. Greg Coleman's at the back of the end zone. He needs a good punt here. And there's a flag on the play. It's a 42-yard punt. It rolls all the way past down to the 42 of the Bengals, but offsetting penalties, you're going to have to do it all over again. So that was like a 53-yarder when you add the bounce in. But this time it doesn't matter. He gets in an even better punt off, 67 yards. It's returnable. Let's see what they can do if he has to fair catch it. That's amazing. A 67-yard punt, and he has to call for a fair catch. The hang time on that was brutal. So the Bengals will take over. On their own 28, 2 tight end set. Pete Johnson in the backfield. The big strike for the Bengals was a bomb to Chris Collinsworth. And the Vikings are aware of that. They double cover him with an outside linebacker. Instead, it's a run guessed wrong by Pete for 8 yards. He's carried the ball 9 times today for 54 yards. Off tackle right, picks up another 6, guessed wrong. Slow and steady, wins the race. Let's see how that translates to Strat-O-Matic football. Quick out left to Dan Ross. That's going to pick up 7, guessed right. Ball near midfield. 2nd and 3. You're just looking to avoid negative plays. The offense is good. Both these teams have good offenses. Off tackle right to Charles Alexander, but the nose tackle, Charlie Johnson, makes the play. He's a 6. So the Vikings have all 3 pass blockers except for Max Montoya, who's a 5. So they're under constant pressure. That asterisk Martin 5-12-6 that's a good matchup for the Vikings. Up the middle to Pete Johnson. Guessed right. He's only going to pick up a yard though, and he'll have to punch it again. So maybe Joey a little predictable on 3rd downs. Always running it on 3rd and short. We got to open it up a little bit. That punt's going to go all the way down to the 6, where the Vikings will call for the fair catch instead of trying to let it bounce into the end zone. Unless this is that strat glitch. Nope. Oh, it is. It's a little bit of a different glitch. As he probably did let it roll, and it rolled down to the 1. Fly to Ahmad Bradshaw on 1st and 10 at the 1. Go big or go home. That's a terrible receiving card for Ahmad Bradshaw. Remember, this was the strike shortened 1982 season. So some of these guys don't have their normal stats that you would expect. Sammy White obviously does. He's got some good numbers. Bradshaw must have been injured or something and didn't play that much. Crossing pattern to Sammy White. It's going to be a 10-yard pickup. It's going to get out to the 11. There were some linebackers coming, but it was not a sack chance there. 1st and 10 at the 11. Coming up on the last few plays of the third quarter. And this tightly contested 1982 SSRFL Super Bowl. Flair left the Galbraith, and the linebacker in the zone is a 6. That's good old Reggie Williams, and he makes the play. 20 of 30 for Kramer so far. 2nd and 10, he goes 3 wide. Up the middle, draw to Brown. Short gain. Picks up 15 yards and a first down out to the 26. Brings us up to the last play of the third quarter. Goes back to a pro set. Brown's having a great game. 15 runs for 84 yards. Sweep right to Galbraith. Guessed wrong. Picks up 6. So the fullback shows he can run the ball a little bit. Different era of the NFL back then. So here we are, fourth quarter, 7-7, 15 minutes to go. Who will come out on top? The Vikings or the Bengals? Screen right to Ricky Young. It's going to be a 7-yard pickup, but again, there's laundry on the field. Offsides, and Minnesota declines, so they'll keep the 7-yard gain. That's Young's first catch of the day. Off tackle right to Ted Brown. Nose tackle 0 or +5, and Wilson Whitley makes the play. He's a 5. Goes back to the 3 wide. We've seen him running this. Now the Bengals go to a 3-4, worried about the run. Crossing pattern to LeComfort, 11 yards on the D cards. And it was even double teamed, successful double team, but it didn't matter. It's a straight hit. The linebacker was double teaming. If it would have been the free safety, he would have moved into the zone. It still would have been an 11-yard pickup. Bomb to White. Defensive back in zone is a 0. That's going to be a pickup. That's going to go 26 yards down to the 24. Remember, this drive started on the Vikings' own 1-yard line. Four-yard pickup, guessed right, off tackle left to Brown. So the Bengals need to try to hold him here, hold him to a field goal chance and see if Dan Myers got his issues straightened out. Curl to Ahmad Bradshaw. Must run for 1-yard loss. That'll show up on the stat sheet as a sack, that time by Jim LeClaire. So 3rd and 7. Look at the splits on the Vikings field goal kicker. So they go, they're just as bad. They need to get down to the 12-yard line to get 2 through 8. Otherwise, they're 2 through 6, 11, and 12. Shaky. Maybe he'll run the ball to try to set up 4th and short. Or maybe throw flat knowing he probably won't make it. He does go flat. Flair left to Brown. There's this linebacker in zones, a 6, and that's going to be incomplete. So he'll trot out the shaky Rick Danmeyer, 2 through 6, 11, and 12. It's a lot of places to miss, but this time he's true. Snake eyes. It's good on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, and 12. And it's a good kickoff, too. Danmeyer's getting some high fives on the bench. as he hits it all the way to the 1 yard line, and they can only return it 10 yards. Great job by the special teams. So the Bengals are pinned deep, 11-19 to go in the Super Bowl. Can they put together the go-ahead drive, or at least a drive that gets them into field goal range? They go with a 3 wide receiver set, but there's still 2 backs. Vikings respond with a 3-4. Seven-yard flatty to Steve Kreider. The longest journey begins with 1 step. Anderson's 13-16 so far. Maybe he hasn't leaned on Anderson hard enough. 2nd and 3. Up the middle to Pete. That picks up 5. And Pete we trust. 1st and 10 at the 23. Now remember, the Vikings go-ahead drive started on their own 1. So let's see where this drive, which started deep in Cincinnati territory, winds up. It's a slant, guessed wrong. Defender X or plus 15, and John Turner. It would have been on a 5 or a 6. That would have been a 15-yard pickup. 2nd and 10 now. Lots of punts in this one. This drive began at the Bengals' own 11-yard line. Pete Johnson in a 2 tight end set. Going back to Ross again, it's a must run by Ken Anderson. He picks up 9, setting up 3rd and 1. And what have you seen the last few times the Bengals have tried to run the ball, hoping to get a guessed right run on Pete Johnson's card, and they've come up short. One's on Johnson's card and one's on the D card. So will they try it again, or will they throw the ball? Sideline right to Isaac Curtis. That's going to be a 1st down. There's a penalty. Holding. Minnesota accepts the penalty. 3rd and 11. That's a much tougher kettle of fish than the 3rd and 1 that they just converted. Third and 11. 9:17 to go in the game. Big play here. Crossing pattern to Kreider. It's going to hit a blank on Anderson's card, and in comes Pat McNally to punt. Plenty of time left. Time's really not a factor. You're nowhere. You're in go-for territory. But you need a good punt. Pretty decent. Doesn't want a big return. Fair catch. Look good. The special teams of the Bengals come through. And good job by Rick not going for the block, because there would have been a penalty and maybe would have given the Bengals a 1st down. Excuse me. So big drive here for the Vikings. Curl to Ahmad Rashad being double teamed by the linebacker. Defender X or plus 15, and the defender would not have made the play without the double team. So nice job. Nice call there by Joey. 3 wide. Now he's got 2 guys. One covered by LeConte, covered by a 0. Fly right to Brown. Oh, it's an interception split, but he misses it and still picks up 4 yards. Interception on 2 through 6 and 12. That would have changed the game around in a hurry. 3rd and 6 now, as the Bengals try to get the ball back and get a stop here. Bomb to Sammy White. Incomplete. It's a good thing he didn't move that free safety. That would have been that 50-50 long gain chance we looked at earlier. So here's the punt. The Vikings from their own 40. Greg Coleman gives it a boot. 35-yarder. Chance for a return here. And it's fair caught again, as the punt return is not the strength of the Bengals. 1st and 10 at the 25. 7:17 to go in the game. Bomb to Isaac Curtis, and it's going to be picked off. He tries to go big, and instead he'll go home, or at least for the moment, he'll go back to the sideline. Ken Anderson thought he had him open. There are some straight completions, plus 27 on 5, plus 30 on 11, but he rolled the 7, and it wasn't lucky for Ken Anderson. 13 and 19, first blemish of the day for the Bengals quarterback. Tommy Kramer takes over with 7 minutes left. Incomplete. Guessed right on the flat pass. Guessed wrong would have been 10 yards. So good thing he didn't call run. It needs 2 more good calls, get the ball back. And the interception did get returned a little bit, I think. We just didn't see it on our screens. 2nd and 10, bomb to White. He goes big, does not connect, and it'll be 3rd and 10. Tick, tick, tick. Still plenty of time in this game. Joey's got to keep his cool, find the right combination. He goes for the 3-3-5 showing blitz here. He might bring the pressure, and I would look for Rick to throw a flat pass, try to give his, avoid the sack. Instead, he goes an up the middle draw, which is almost just as good if he can get one of those short gains, but he did not. Containment would not have been in effect. He got 5 yards down to the 40, and on 4th and 5, he'll punt it. 43-yard punt. Coughlin corner is going to take that inside the 20, right to the 10-yard line. So 90 yards to glory for the Bengals. Incomplete. He's hitting those blanks on Ken Anderson's card. He's a good deep passer. We've seen he has a completion on 6 and 9. So he might want to air it out here. But last time he did that, he threw a pick. So tough decisions here. 2nd and 10. And remember, he's got the weak pass blocking compared to the line. Crossing pattern to Isaac Curtis, defender X or plus 15, and John Swain, a 4, makes a play. So twice now, Vikings 4s have gotten the right roll and made the play. 5 minutes to go now, 3rd and 10. Now time is becoming a factor. He needs to pick this up, needs to keep the chains moving. Slant to Dan Ross. This time he hits for 13, and he tries to get out of bounds, but it's tackled before that. 1st and 10 out to the 23. 10-7 Vikings. Looking for a Super Bowl championship. Vikings, we've had to do as Strat's released off tackle left to Johnson, picks up 6. As Strat has released these seasons out of order, we've already done 1983, and the Vikings, under the coaching of Ron Dickinson, won the Super Bowl then. So in a way, this would be like back-to-back championships for the Vikings. I'll pull up the list of champions in a little bit. Screen left. It's going to be a 23-yard pickup to Archie Griffin. White die 6. What a time for that. That's going to take it into Vikings territory. As I start talking about the Vikings championship chances, the Bengals say, hey, what about us? 1st and 10, 3 wide. Johnson and Alexander in the backfield. Curl to Chris Collinsworth, finds a blank on Collinsworth's card. So here's the 1982 champion, or 1983 champion was the Vikings under Ron Dickinson. This is the 1982 Super Bowl. So the Vikings have won 3 previous Super Bowls under Ron Dickinson's coaching. So Rick's got a lot of pressure to live up to. The Vikings fans want to see another championship. 2nd and 10, quick slant to Dan Ross. He's finally double teaming him. That's going to set up a 3rd and 10. And this is 4 down territory now with just 3 minutes to go in the game. He needs a little bit of magic. Ken Anderson, will he try to open it up and go deep? Collinsworth, Curtis, Kreider, Ross, and Griffin. It's Kreider, and he hits him for 21 yards down to the 27 or the 28-yard line. Excuse me. 1st and 10 at the 28, 2:26 to go. So they're in field goal range now, but he doesn't want a field goal. He wants a touchdown. Man, what a time to hit a good receiver reading there. Kreider helped him out. He broke a tackle, got it for 21 yards. He stays with the same formation, 2:26 to go. Both teams have their full complement of timeouts. Up the middle run and a run call. He gets stuffed. Would have been a 5-yard pickup with nobody in the zone. Instead, it's a 1-yard loss. 2 minutes to go. 2nd and 11. Off tackle left to Johnson. It's going to be a fumble. Who's going to recover it? And there's a flag on the play. It looks like the Bengals have gotten it back. There's a holding against Cincinnati, though. So he'll be backed up. It'll either be 2nd and 21, or it would have been 3rd and 9. So he decides to go for 2nd and 21, make it that much harder. I think the Bengals coach will be happy that he kept possession of the ball, and he still has a chance here. Slant to Dan Ross. Incomplete on the D card. Now it's 3rd and 21. You can't try to get all of it here. You need to get half now and half on 4th down. 2 through 8, 11, and 12 on a long pass, if that would have been a long pass instead of a short pass. What will he do? What will the defense do? He needs a bailout penalty of his own, a little holding on the defense or pass interference or something. Let's see how he plays it. Bomb to Curtis, being double covered. There's a penalty. Is it going to be on the defense? It's holding on Cincinnati again, 4th and 21. And he accepts it. Interesting. You're giving the Bengals a chance for 2 more bailout penalties, but I understand it. You want to push them as far away from that field goal and goal line as possible. I didn't even think about the field goal. Yeah, he didn't need to get the whole thing. If he would have gotten just a short pass there, that could have been in business. And that was on the long gain on 6. Crossing back to Kreider, and here comes the pass rush. No flags on the play. 4th down. What do you do here? 4th and 38. 4th and half the field. Got to punt it maybe. No, they take a timeout. He needs that bailout penalty in the worst way. He's going to bring 2 guys back. Plug the long pass zone. That was a 55% chance of a sack. Random roll was 43. Maybe he tries to throw to a flat to an empty zone. Bomb to David Verse here being double covered. He says congrats, but he almost hit the 33. Wouldn't have mattered. It still would have been 5 yards short. But this isn't over yet, Joey. He could fumble it. Could be a lot of things that can happen, but we'll see. Now you have 2 timeouts left. So even if you take 2 timeouts, it goes 115, 108, and then 45 seconds for the other one. So you have to punt it with 22 seconds left. Off tackle to Ted Brown. Nowhere. Timeout. Will he get cheeky and try to throw a short pass to end it? Any first down here ends the game. Pitch out left. Pass call. Loses 3, though. Another timeout. That'll be 107. So, again, 107, 1, 2, 3. I think there'll be 22 seconds left if I'm right, if I'm calculating this right. Strat runs off 45 seconds. If you don't stop the clock, he's not going to pass it. He might go 3 wide, but he's definitely running it here. You could bring everybody down and try to key Ricky Young. It's off tackle to Young. Goes nowhere. He'll let the clock run. 22 seconds like I thought. So a blocked punt, a long return. He's going to try to go coffin corner here. Remember, you only need a field goal to tie. 43-yard kick. It is not out of bounds, so a return is possible. He might let it bounce in the end zone, though. Penalty. Offsides against Minnesota. That's actually good for Minnesota. I'll tell you why, because it uses up a tick. So instead of 22 seconds, there's only 15 seconds. That means there will only be 2 offensive plays, and there is no block on Fuller's card. Another 43-yard kick. This time it does go out of bounds, and the Bengals will get 2 shots starting at their own 18. Well, 1 shot. That's the thing is you can only get out of bounds on an end run, flat pass, or short pass. So if he connects here on a long pass, he has to get out of bounds. Otherwise, the clock will run out. Bomb to Curtis. Interception, and that is the game, folks. Head coaches take off the headphones, and they'll shake hands on the field, and that will do it. So the Minnesota Vikings win their 4th SSRFL Super Bowl. They won it in 1970 under Dickinson. They won it in 1975 under Dickinson. And they won it in 1983 under Dickinson. And this is the first time they'll win it under Rick Ramassiere. 10-7 is the final. Vikings over the Bengals. And the coaches exchange pleasantries. It was a good game. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. And it's kind of fun visiting this 1982 season. So thanks, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. A quick look at the box score. The Vikings did have the advantage in almost all statistical categories. But Ken Anderson had a chance there on that last drive until penalty fest. And the penalties, even though they came out even, they really added up against the Bengals on that last drive when they got into field goal range, but they just could not stay there as they kept backing up holding call after holding call. Great season for both these coaches. Well done. And the next season we're going to play is 1991. So fun stuff. All right, guys, that's the game. I'll talk to you soon.